Hello and welcome back to Hearts Wide Open, the men's health podcast. This week, recording an episode without Surush, but with someone else, a very special human being. We have Stijn here. Hi, Stijn.
Hi, guys.
And Stijn and I met through, the shared interest in men's health. Stijn is part of a group called the Man Up Club. I also joined some of your meetings and we had some really cool, amazing conversations there. I was impressed by your level of maturity in hosting these conversations as well.
Thank you so much.
I think it's great what you guys do, and you approached me and you're like, hey, I think you're doing great things with the Hearts Wide Open and I'd love to be part in that. And
I loved, what I loved most is that when I was realizing how I self-sabotage myself, that was the first meeting, I think in the same week where you joined the meeting and you were talking about how you just recorded an episode about self-sabotage. So that resonated with me immediately. And that was really dope. I really love what you do, the way you just open up the conversation. I think that should be done more often. So thanks for doing that, man. Thanks for doing that.
Super welcome. You guys are doing a similar thing, actually.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? What do you guys do with the Man Up Club?
Jelmer and I, we host the Man Up Club, and we actually also met through the shared interest of men's mental health. And we just thought that it would be dope if we could do something other than just talk about it, which is amazing. It's also something that should be done. But we also wanted to involve people in it and create a community where men could be vulnerable about their emotions themselves rather than listen to stories about other people doing it. So we started just online meeting, invited some people we knew, really got a kick out of it because it was really, we started the conversation in open, just with the two of us. Johan and I set the dialogue. So we set an example how people can talk about what they feel, how men can talk about their vulnerabilities. And then after a while, we invite men to go into breakout rooms where you can just be with the two of you online. And it's just amazing if you switch channels and join the conversations of men, how they just open up and how with strangers they feel the confidence and the confidence to be vulnerable.
I think it's great that you're taking men from everyday life, from all walks of life to join you in this, and you also have a set of community rules that you really stick to, like respect each other. Don't engage in an argument about something, like don't judge. Everyone's opinion is just their opinion. And
we also try to give space, just listening to someone and let them feel. Because that's what I also noticed. We did some breath work before we started, and it's really funny to me how it's really hard to just feel your breath, how unnatural that feels to me as a man.
And we're doing it the whole time.
Yeah, and we're doing it the whole time. I mean, it's so crazy to me how that feels so unnatural to you.
Even once you focus on it.
I do it a lot, but still, always it feels unnatural.
I love breath work. You know, you can do a lot of cool things with breath, actually. Like you can release a lot of energy inside you. And if you breathe in a certain pattern, like it's a really powerful tool. I can really recommend it to everyone, actually. That reminds me now of something else, that we also wanted to have a breathwork coach on the podcast at some point.
That's dope.
But that's not today.
Be present again. It's okay.
Cool. And what's your story? Like, what's the thing that maybe got you into men's health?
I think what we also did with the Man Up Club is the first session was about the relationship we had with our dads, because that shapes you as a man the most. It's your example of what a man means, what it means to be a man. And if I look at my dad, he showed me a lot of beautiful things about what it means to be a man. He showed me respect. He showed me to take care. He showed me to be to take responsibility for what I do. He told me the things that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear. He really wanted me to be a better man than he was. Just the thing that he couldn't give me is allowing me to feel.
How does that look like when a parent does not allow you to feel?
I think the first example set is that he didn't allow himself to feel. So I could just feel a lot of tension with him, and he just mumbles something if he was in a discussion with my mother or with me. And at some point he just like break. He'd feel anger, and then after that he'd cut himself off again. Like he could feel anger, joy, and if it was really hard on him, like sometimes sadness, which are just really basic emotions. And it showed me in that example that there is no room for other emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And that when I got older and when I just felt all these things, I just couldn't maintain it. So I just vented everything out, and it started with a lot of anger and sadness, also with a lot of joy. I felt a lot of joy, but I just couldn't handle the emotions.
So we're just living in the extremes?
Yeah, living in the extremes, not really. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like I could not allow just the nuanced feelings to be there, and I could just only express them if they were really extreme. And then eventually I was just rampaging, like not really in an extreme way, but it was getting there. And
what does rampaging mean? Like
just creating a lot of chaos in my emotions, also in my joy, but also in my anger and in my sadness, or just kind of sabotaging my relationships as well. Not to the extremes again, because I was young, but I was also really conscious, because the way my parents raised me, I was always aware of what I did, because that's what they always told me, not how I felt, but just what I did. Like if it was wrong mostly of the time, that's just, I don't judge or blame my parents because they made me who I am, but that is what I feel like shaped me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think this is often like that's the starting point, right?
Yeah,
like your childhood, you're being shaped to something, and then at some point you put the shackles off and you start developing your own personality. And but that's your starting line.
That's my starting line, and right now I just moved out, so it's now all these chains being released, and me thinking, yo, who the fuck am I? Like what is me? What shaped me, and how do I deal with that? How do I change by that? And it really started that process when I went into therapy when I was 17 years old, and I just got a lot of sessions on just cognitive behavior. Like, what is the way you talk to yourself? How do you not allow the feelings you have? And also some EMDR, where you just go back to the moments that hurt you in some sense, and you try and explain those feelings and what you could learn from them, and how they like chain you, how they keep you in their place, let's say.
So you went back into those moments and then you relived them? Or?
Yeah, and I really learned from them during therapy, but also I took the lessons I learned there, and I just ran off with them and could work on them. Like I'm a fast learner, so when I got those ideas, those basics about what cognitive behavior is, I could just apply them, and I saw the behavior in my other friends, and that's when I knew, like, if we just share what we feel and be honest about that, then sky is the limit with just the small changes you can make from day to day.
I find that really inspiring that you said, like, you got this whole set of new insights or tools from your therapist, and then you started implementing it immediately, because I think that's, for a lot of people, this is the most, like, first of all, opening up, that's the first really big step, but then the second one is to integrate those new learnings into your daily life. You said you could just do that immediately. How did that look like?
How did it look like? Well, I don't know. Like, things come natural to me. Like, I have a high trust in what other people say is true. I am stubborn, but if somebody really affects me and shows me the facts, then who am I to say that I'm smarter, So I'm really easy with accepting someone's experience or knowledge, and then that combined with just a blessing that I learn quick. So I managed to apply those rules, and of course it took like a couple of years to really apply them, and then subconsciously work them out and just watch a lot of shit on it, because we have the internet, so you can see a lot of things about psychology, about emotions, and I'm a really talkative person. So I'm also always honest. And if you combine those things, you can just, every day is a learning experience. You can see other people's emotions. And one thing I learned 2 weeks ago that really sticks with me is perception is projection. So what I see in you also tells a lot about me. So like it's a mirroring thing, you know, we learn from each other. And yeah, that's why me and Jelmer also wanted to have the talks, because then I see some of you, me in you, and you tell me how you see that. And then we have immediately this trust and connection and can learn from that.
Yeah, and you brought that in the last meeting. You also brought that to the attention of the participants a couple times, I think. Like, so you're asking this question because is there something more that you're hinting at? And is it maybe you that is thinking that, you know?
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's something I strongly believe in. Like, we are just our own perception of things. So everything you see says something about your filters, let's say.
Cool. Wow. And so growing up in this environment of extreme emotions, feeling joy, feeling anger, rampaging, and chaos. What are some of the things that you took away from, like, on your path? So like some of the things that you then implemented into your life. Like I experience you as a very balanced person also. Like, yeah, you're very talkative, you're very active. I think that's just you. But what are some of the things that now made you to be who you are today?
I think to be balanced, you also have to live in the truth, because then you know when you are on the other side of the spectrum, let's say.
And how do you make sure that you're living the truth?
Just express what you feel. I think if I felt these extreme emotions, I never lied about them. I had no way to control them, let's say. So I just expressed them how I felt them. So I was always honest about it.
So expression in form of talking about it?
Yeah, just screaming or just looking mad or just looking... Well, sadness wasn't a thing because my dad couldn't express that. I didn't really know how to express that yet. I learned that on the way.
How did you learn that?
That's a good question. I might have to come back on that one.
That's why I'm here. But you feel free to take a moment as well to think about it. When was the last time you felt sad? And
like I said, I just moved out of my parents' house, man. I just see a lot of things in me, and I cry a lot. Like, I've cried a lot the last half a year, just because of releasing a lot of emotions and seeing things for how they were. Like, I'm in a helicopter view on my youth, finally, because I'm out of the house I grew up in. So, but if I look back on my youth, how did I express sadness? I think it first came with my mother, like, allowing me to feel that, because my dad used to tell me that I was like what he called me was an aansteller, but I just don't know the English word.
Sorry, can you say it again?
Aansteller.
Aansteller. Oh yeah, like you're making a scene or something.
Yeah, making a big deal out of things, like that.
Like overreacting,
like an overreactor.
Keep calm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just not feel those things.
Don't cry.
Yeah. Well, also don't get mad and don't feel attacked or something. But that's also funny, because if I look at my dad now, like that also says a lot about what he felt at the time. Which I see him for the human he is, and he just really, really made me a better man, or he is making me a better man than he ever was. I think that's his goal. He just wanted, like, he expressed to me what he hated in me, because that's what he hated about himself. I see it like that. I genuinely think he sees it like that as well.
This is a very nice way of framing it, because by saying it like this, you're not taking it onto yourself. You don't identify with the feeling yourself. You're saying, like, this is my father, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm also not blaming him, because he was, like, I'm his first son, so he was growing up while having me, you know, that's
100%. We talk about this all the time on the podcast. Like, so many topics go back to how we grew up, how we were raised. So parents are always part of the situation as well, and part of the scene.
Yeah.
But the truth is also that I'm also firstborn, and my parents were struggling when they started. They learned everything, like how to raise a child with me, and they did not. They are also from a different time. They had different priorities.
Same
like just
here.
making a living, like securing a future,
Exactly.
you know. And there was not that much space for topics like mental health. And then if you go further back, they were also children raised by other parents that some of them were war, still like aftermath of the war in Europe.
Same,
You know, so there's so much trauma and things in there that they just pass on to the next generation. But the way you're framing it is that, that was that. And now I'm me. And I love that you grew up, like, I don't love that, but you grew up not really allowed to express some of these emotions. Then you went into the extreme by really feeling them fully.
Yeah, puberty, man. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And I think the next step would probably be to find a balance and figure out your truth. So how do I actually react and how do I want to react?
I think it's important to always, like, you are not your emotions. You have your emotions, whereas you don't need to hold on to them forever. So let them go as well. Eventually you experience them, you know? So, and it's a compass. Like, your emotions, they guide you through, like, no knowledge can do that. Emotions are your compass, I think. And if you listen to them and then find a controlled way to express them, I think that's what I learned the last year that has really helped me find the right connections, find the right answers to questions, and just find the right things to do in the moments. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays I also feel like I do really believe that you need to also feel them extremely fully to be able to then find that balance for yourself. And I feel nowadays a lot of times when people scream in public, let's say, or someone cries, you know, a lot of people are just like, they don't know how to deal with that. Another person is having their emotions. And I just want to put a shout here that that's completely fine. And you don't have to help that person if you are not that person. But if you are that person, that's also completely fine. Because I feel, you know, in this time that we're in, it's like, okay, just stay normal. Don't be too much of or too little of anything. Just be in the gray all the time. But in order to find your normal, I think you need to also know what's not normal. And there are very legit reasons to be angry or to be sad. If someone passes, if you're having an accident, if it's not going well financially, like you're allowed to feel those things, and you're also allowed to talk about those things, you know.
If I look around, people my age, I think you can resonate with this as well. People are only allowed to feel joy if they're off something, if they're on drinking a lot, on drugs or something. Like that's the moment that they can feel joy. And then also through that, of course, if there's a lot of alcohol in the system, there also comes out a lot of anger. If it gets too late, if something frustrates them, then there's also that anger that they feel underneath that.
Where we lose our ability to keep everything together. So then it just breaks.
Yeah, then it's just everything. Like you can just be laughing with a person 1 second and then all of a sudden coin flips and they just rampage. I just see a lot of people not even let themselves feel joy. I'm at a party and I'm like, why are these people standing still? There's great music. You just paid $60 to get in. And you're standing here hoping to fit in with whatever is the regular thing to do at these kind of parties, because you have a lot of flavors these days.
And then the funny thing is that you think everyone looks at you and you need to look cool and be all that, you know, and everyone's thinking that.
Yeah, everyone's just maintaining themselves. And I just see a lot of people just, damn, I really feel this last drink, you know, and then no one's really just being and expressing. And I've noticed that when you just are, and I have a lot of energy and I try to share everything, and like it's a feedback loop that just keeps on giving and giving, and I'm just so thankful for that. And that's what I want to give away is just express, be honest, and share, like that, those feelings. If it's joy, it's joy. If it's anger, find the right
channel
to express it, to share it. If I feel mad at you for doing something to me, or I'm worried about you, just find the right package. And if you share that and you feel the emotion, because you, like, sometimes if I tell you about something I'm mad at or sad about because you are doing it, I also feel that sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are mirrors. We have mirror neurons in our head. I will feel what you feel, and that's why it's hard to express. But share it. That's all I'm saying. Share it, share it, share it. Yeah.
That's yeah. Thanks for this.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah.
I was just thinking, like, if I would sit here like this.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like,
you need to open up that. Yeah, that's what you also said me. Like, let's keep it here. Sometimes change to that for the people, but it needs to be like we need to. Resonate, be on the same frequency.
I learned this actually from my therapist as well.
Yeah.
And we only applied this at some point in one of the recent episodes, that we're sitting like this, because before we were sitting like that. And this is a really way more inclusive way. Like sitting like this, like in front of each other. If you're only listening, you can't see my arm movements right now, but I mean, if you're sitting frontal in front of someone, that's very confrontational. And I would always come to my therapist and put my chair right in front of hers and sit there and like, all right, therapize me. And at one time, like second or third session already, I came a couple minutes late, and she's like, look, Dennis, you come in here 2 or 3 minutes late on your time, you take my chair, you put it there, and you sit in front of me. Don't you think I put some thought into how these chairs are assembled in this office? I was like, holy shit. Like, I was not even thinking about that. I thought I was super present if I'm in front of her. But, like, this is, especially when you're having a very deep conversation, this can, like, not sitting opposite of each other, but, like, half next to each other. It's, at the same time, I can look at you naturally, but I can also look away and have my thoughts go on without like making you feel like I'm not with you anymore, because my body's still there.
Mm-hmm. I also love that, to do that on dates.
On dates.
With girls, just sit next to each other, and then you can make some remarks about what you see, and like you can share your thoughts, and then you learn about how she sees other things. Whereas if it's here, you might feel the thing the also with your therapist and just with people. If I look you in the eyes, it's harder to be honest, because there's a lot of judgment in your eyes, which also says a lot about how I judge myself, of course, again, but still, like, you see that in the eyes. So if just kind of like, open up maybe, or take some of the tension off, it just creates a more authentic conversation, I think. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Like maybe some of you can also relate. Just ask this question. How do you like to sit when you go out for a dinner, for example, with your friends, or on a date? Do you sit opposite of each other, next to each other, and why? You can put that down in the comments, and we can have a nice...
I'd love some of people's theories about that. I'm really curious about that.
So we talked about your growing up, your past, your time with therapy, and then the things that you took away, you going through your emotions, kind of finding your way in that. What's a topic that's very present for you today, or that's going on right now in your life? And I ask this question because I believe that you're never done with mental health. There's always something going on.
Never. No. That's a good question. Great summary as well. I think what I'm dealing with now the most is before I was really working on myself and ticking the boxes so that I could feel good about what I was doing. And then everything changed because I moved out of my house. And then I really needed that system to feel good.
What, can you explain that?
Okay. The system I mean is like I work out, I read, I meditate, I don't masturbate, I don't use this, I don't use that. I give a compliment, and if I tick those boxes every day, I'm allowed to be okay with who I am.
Well, for now, it sounds like a really cool list, actually.
Yeah, it is a cool list, but why do you do it?
Mm.
Why do you do it? Is it to prove yourself that you are worthy? Or are you worthy in the first place? And do you do it because you love what you do? And I realized that I just did it because then I could feel worthy of moving out, of being me, of just relaxing as well. And now I'm going back to that where I don't want to need the confirmation of anybody else to be allowed to feel and to be. Like, I don't want to be constantly proving that I can be, I want to do it because I love it. So I think that's the thing. And I'm just really looking for my identity because I just moved out of my parents' house and kind of reshaping what I do and what I think is important, and not do it because I need the validation so that I can say, yeah, I read a lot or I gym a lot. No, I am who I am, and I do this because I love it, not because I need I get the love from myself, not from the validation that you give me for it. I'm also reading a book on that, Addicted to Love. It's about going back, crushing all those layers of needing anything from anybody, you being okay with yourself, and then you just radiate that, not where it's a facade, and if it breaks down, you really crumble, because that's what I felt like the last half a year. All my walls just crumbled, and I felt really sad. Even though I was moving to the city, I was doing things I wanted to. I had a lot of freedom. I could just be wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, with whoever I wanted. And still, I felt really bad because all the boxes I had to check had to be reorganized, let's say. And I didn't really love me. I was alone a lot. And I was just really mad at myself for not doing things. I was like, well, if I'm going to move out and have this kind of conversation with myself every day, it's not going to be a good place to be. So I guess going back and just loving myself for who I am and being okay with that, and seeing, because we talked about my past a lot, seeing how my parents raised me and how that affected my need for confirmation, because I needed my parents. I needed their love, because otherwise, as a kid, you
don't survive.
You don't survive, literally. Now I don't need that anymore. And you're still looking for those confirmations in everyday life, in all the people, in all the work you do. Like, you need that confirmation so that you can allow yourself to survive, let's say, emotionally. I'm not saying that it's reality, but still emotionally, to put yourself through those things. I genuinely think that that's the process I'm going through, starting with self-love, and then like seeing all the layers, all the structures that were put on me, all the automatic cognitive and non-cognitive behavior that you just kind of to compensate for, like making a joke if tension get high, like all those things, masturbating to relieve stress, all those things to get something out of it. And then you need to get back to it again to get it. You have all these patterns, let's say, in your behavior where you are trying to get something out of a situation. People will make you laugh to get the confirmation that they're funny, that they are allowed to be somewhere. People will masturbate to relieve stress, or smoke a cigarette to relieve stress, or apologize for whatever they're doing. Yeah. Sorry, I'm speaking. Sorry, I'm sitting in your space, whatever, just apologizing so that you can feel like it's okay to be. Yeah. And then you constantly need to smoke that cigarette, apologize, make a joke to get that confirmation again.
And then you're getting stuck in that
in those loops. And I'm trying to break those loops.
Okay.
I don't need to reflect on my day to feel okay.
You can feel okay.
Yeah, I can feel okay. I'm just allowed to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell people. Hey, don't apologize. You're allowed to be. I always tell people around me, like, you don't have to. You can just be loved whether you do something or not. It's okay. You can. And you see people relax more, and they come from a more authentic place then, because they feel more safe.
Honestly, this is very powerful, because I think it can really start for someone. You can really impact people like that too by giving them this permission. I felt this on my own body at the retreat I was this year, where I was feeling all this heaviness from all my own topics on my shoulders and my back. And this person, this coach told me, like, saw that in me. And we kind of co-created what it actually is and defined that. And then towards the end, she gave me permission to let it go. And ultimately, I need to learn how to give that permission to myself. But in that moment, I felt how the pain is leaving me.
That's beautiful, man.
Because
that's
another person allowed me to. And I think that's very cool to like that you do that already with others. And then I think that's also your path right now, that you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, perception is projection again. I tell other people you can be, and then I learn from how they react, and that's feedback loops. I'm just trying to work on feedback loops to go up and up and up. Yeah.
And life is really, this is something I discovered this year, is moves in cycles.
Yeah.
But like you do go to the next level, but then there's again a new cycle where you have to go through something, and then
I have that with emotions as well, where since I moved out, I felt 16 again in some places. I cannot explain that to some people because they haven't been in those deep loops. Mm-hmm. I also felt 12 again. Like I could vividly remember some places, let's say, some experiences from the past that really shaped me. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, really.
Like how far did your last feedback loop go?
I don't know exactly what you mean now by how far does your... can you rephrase the question?
Well, let's say that I went back to when I was 17, so I felt 5 years back in time. I felt the same feedback loop in realizing what I was doing and going through the same emotions of just fear of everything that's new. Yeah. Allowing a new layer of myself to be. Like, how far did you...
I think like one that comes to mind now is me always looking for validation from my parents. And it's not a feedback loop I've been through once. It's one that I've been through a lot of times. And this is now when I really want to work on it today, in this time we're at right now. Now I'm realizing that I was always looking for validation from my parents for everything I did.
Yeah.
Like I would do something cool and then I would call my parents, hey, by the way, I just did this and that. And I've been through this loop a few times.
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
And now I'm active, like for the last time I was there was a couple months ago probably. And I had this realization very recently. So now I'm like facing it, let's say.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. But that would be the last loop that just came to mind.
Yeah, I have those kind of same loops as well going on right now. Whereas I feel like since I moved out, back again on the journey of exploring these new layers of me and letting all the patterns that I created to feel safe go, and eventually you'll create new ones again and you have to break those again. But that's what I've been going through. And I really love what you said about your coach, like how she allowed you to just be and it was okay. I did a kind of a spiritual healing, I think a month ago now. And this lady, beautiful lady, does a lot of amazing work in the city of Rotterdam. She was like, I look at you and I feel like I need to offer you this spiritual healing. She has this kind of spiritual gift where she passes on information from, let's say, the energy of the universe, but she's really down to earth with it. So I trusted her. And she also constantly said, like, I feel like I need to tell you that you are just allowed to be and think what you want. You don't need anyone's validation. And I was like, how do you know this? I was touching my body and she could feel all these tension points and I could feel her just getting rid of those energies. It was really dope.
That sounds like a beautiful experience.
Yeah, that was something else.
And at this point, I can also tell, maybe also for the listeners and viewers, do have different experiences. Like, I think you kind of slipped into this one somehow.
Yeah.
But look for them too. Like go on retreats. I hung out with. We talked about it before the recording. I hung out with different groups who all were doing men's work. Like I was with some anarchist groups. I was with Movember people. I was with the spiritual community. I was just with some dudes at the Man Up Club.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All these different groups have something else to offer. But also out there are so many more groups and activities you can do. You can go to do some yoga, try that out, try some freestyle dance, ecstatic dances. You would be surprised what type of things your body all of a sudden decides to release and how you can feel that, you know? Can be like back pain that just rushes out of you or other sensations that you are feeling.
Yeah. Like if you want to start small, just if you meet someone and you have an honest conversation and you feel like emotions match, energies match, express that and see what happens then. Because people will switch on that and they'll trust you, and then like you can learn from each other in that. Just share your commonalities.
Address what you see and what you're feeling.
Man.
You can really bond over that.
Yeah, those are the most basic feedback loops you can do every day. I think that will make you go sky high, I think. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I think we're nearing the end, but there's one important question that we ask all our guests. So what does it mean for you to be a healthy man, or what is a healthy man for you?
Yeah, well, if I'm gonna go big for a second and then I'm gonna go small. Like if I look at how society was, I think we men have been just as emotionally dependent on women as women have been financially on men. Like I'm making a really
so historically
I'm making a really bold statement here. So please disagree. I'm just testing this idea. Please disagree and let me know why. I'm really curious to that, but I do think that that's been the case historically. So I think that most of the characteristics that we attach to men still apply, as in you take your responsibility, you take care of people, you create a safe space for people. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be a human shield, but you do create a safe space. People can allow themselves to be. I think that's what a man means. I think honesty, but I also think that that's a thing that's just a healthy human lives in reality and lives in honesty. Same goes for some of the other things as well. You know, I think we are more the same as women than we are different. Also in what makes us a good person. And I also want to say, like, you have to be emotionally intelligent as a man, as a healthy man. If you don't want to grow old with your shoulders all stuck, let's say, for a second. And I think those fundamentals are important to me. I don't think you need to be a provider, but I do think you need to provide a safe space. Provider as in a financial provider, let's say. Now, other than that, I'm also just finding out, like, I'm also playing with the question, like, when am I a man? You know, I'm 22 now. When are we men? Like, are you a man? You're 32. Do you feel like you're a man, or are you a young man? Are you a guy, a boy? Like, when are you done? Is it to an extent where you take responsibility for things? You know, so I'm also still dealing with that question.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me, I'll just respond to the
question.
Yeah,
sure.
So I think we are already men.
Okay.
And in order to be a healthy man, we just need to keep working on that. And that makes us a healthier man already. And then that journey is the same as with mental health. It's never fixed. It's never done. Like, you're already a man, as healthy as you can probably be in this very moment. And as long as you strive to keep that and work on that continuously for the rest of your life, you'll become a better and better man. And like your grandchildren are gonna love you, your children are gonna love you, and everyone around you, when you can really be yourself and not shy away from things that come your way, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. You actually used my words against me.
What do you mean?
I am already a man. Like I'm already allowed to be a man, you know.
Yeah, but you said you're also discovering that right now, so that's what I was thinking in that moment. It's like, let's give him permission. You're a man, dude.
Yeah. Maybe when am I a grown man? Maybe that's the question as well. But still, like I love that, and great conversation. I love the insight at the end.
Yeah, maybe before we finish, how can people get in touch with you or get into the Man Up Club?
Well, I think you can just follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn. That will be the best. Just send me a DM. Mm-hmm. My name is Stijn Herpers. You can find me under that name on LinkedIn and Instagram.
We'll put it in the notes of the episode in the description. Yeah,
you can find me there. Just send me a text when you want to reach out, and I always love to respond, but do give me like a week or something, because I am a bad responder when it comes to text and anything. But I do have you in my mind, and we can always talk.
Awesome. Perfect. And before we finish, this episode is probably airing in November, and it is time to raise awareness for men's health again and funds for men's health. So we are actually participating with our very own Movember campaign. And this year, I'm also a community ambassador for Movember. So we're really counting on all your support to raise awareness for this very important cause. It's exactly why we have this podcast, to also support projects that work in the area of men's health in the terms of mental health, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, but also suicide prevention. So if you have a couple euros to spare, do click on the link in the episode description to send €5, €10, €20, €50 to support us with this cause and to support the Movember organization. Be well, take care of yourself, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Stijn.
Thank you, man. It's amazing to be here.
Thanks.
You're doing amazing work.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Yeah. Nice.
Let's go hug, man.
Yeah, man. That was a great episode. I love your questions.
I loved how vulnerable you are.
Yeah, man. Same.
Goodbye.